When we reached out to Todd, we were in a car accident right after Hurricane Irma. I was injured. My neck tightened up immediately after the accident, but I didn't believe that I was really injured just yet. I waited several days before going to the urgent care and actually kind of got a roll of the eye from the urgent care until they saw my x-ray where I was clearly having issues. From there, we hired Todd, and Todd was so gracious with us. He encouraged us to see the providers we wanted to see. We weren't locked into anybody. Now, we were given recommendations, and it turns out those recommendations were right after we did our due diligence and we saw multiple providers. But it was just really comforting because there was no pressure from Todd to do anything. It was document what was going on, and he was just in our corner. And it wasn't about getting the most money out of the insurance company. It wasn't about fighting for this. It didn't feel dirty. It was just getting what we needed to feel better and to get back on track. And he did it for us. It was not just one case, but two. Unfortunately, we got an accident in September of 2017, and then we were in another accident in May of 2018, the very week that my case was going to be closed out by my doctors. And so my case was not closed out by my doctors, and unfortunately, Todd and his team had to negotiate, or not negotiate, but they had to deal with the complexity of having not one, but two cases at the same time, and two different insurance companies and two different issues. And there were additional injuries, but it was even more complicated because they were soft tissue injuries, and there wasn't clear evidence on the MRI and everything. So it was a much more complicated case than he originally took on, but that didn't stop Todd from just being there for us. Actually worked with another attorney in a completely separate matter, and she had partnered with Todd for some time, and she is someone we trust with our family, and she recommended Todd, and she led us in the right direction. When working with them, I really appreciated a lot of different things. Just how patient Todd was and how supportive he was. It was, again, I didn't feel like it was other law firms that are out to use people to get money. I felt like he actually does this for a living to support the people that need the support. And I didn't realize until I was in the situation how many people aren't willing to support people while going through this. I had medical doctors tell me that they wouldn't see me because it was related to a car accident, and treat me pretty poorly because it was related to a car accident. But I could talk to Todd, and he could direct me to the providers that would get me in the right direction and work with me and help me. And now I can carry my 2-year-old son. And I really appreciate that. And then I personally am someone that likes to be very organized and on top of things. And let me just say, Katie is one of the most organized, on top of things people I've ever met. And I am her biggest fan. Preferred to communicate via email, and we would, Katie was willing to work with any system that I was comfortable with. So I would set up a Dropbox or a Google Drives to share our documents, my receipts and things like that. So it was just very easy, and it was user-friendly for me. But the hardest part was getting better, and the patience of working with the doctors to get better. I was in chiropractic care weekly for an infinite amount of time, and I know those people so well that I brought them Christmas presents. The patients had to come from there. The hard part was getting better. And thankfully, the hard part wasn't the lawsuit. We were able to negotiate down our bills, and we were able to receive a settlement from the insurance company. He got what he could for us, and it was enough to help with our medical bills and to help us move forward. And I've encountered people that have had an injury. I have always recommended Todd. I have told them utmost how comfortable it is to work with him, and how he is just in the client's corner. He's out to help the client. He's not there to just get as much money as he can from the insurance companies. It's not about that.